Okay, so what I did just now, right? So the first part of today, I show you how to work locally on your own computer, right? Git init, git add, git commit, all within your own machine, right? Just now, I give you a rough idea on how you could work with two repositories on different computers, right? By pushing and pulling code, correct? So now this last part, right? I'm going to show you about branching. And this is one of the most compelling reasons to use Git, I believe. It's called branching, and I'll show you first, and then I'll explain later. Right? So go to your command line, and now I want you to do git status. And if you see the first line, it says on branch master. Basically, you're on a branch. Don't care what a branch is right now. You're on this thing called master, right? You can think of a branch as a universe, right? So now you're in the universe master, and the command I want you to type in next is git branch, and this basically says git which branch am I on. So git says you have one branch, it's called master, and you are on master, right? This is what the output says. Okay, so this is not very interesting. Let's do this other command. Let's do git branch, but instead of hitting enter right now, let's create a new branch, and let's say git branch cool stuff, or name it whatever you want. Name it cool stuff if you, in case you get lost, then you can just follow word for word. So press enter, and now I want to do git branch again. Basically, I want to say git which branch am I on, right? And git says you have two branches, cool stuff and master, and you are a master, correct? So let me do that again. I do git branch. Git says you have two branches, cool stuff and master, you are on master, correct? And now I want to switch branches, right? I want to jump into a different universe. And what I can do is I can do git checkout cool stuff. Right, this basically says git bring me to this universe called cool stuff. Bring me to the branch called cool stuff. And if you hit enter, git says switch to branch cool stuff. And if you do git branch again, you'll see that git says you have two branches, cool stuff and master, you are on cool stuff. Okay? So now we are in cool stuff, right? Think about it as we are in this universe called cool stuff now. And let's go to Sublime Text. And let's make some changes there. Okay, so I want you to go to index.html now. And I want to add some HTML to our page so that we can do some cool stuff. I want to add a H2 tag and name it feedback. Right. I want to add a text area. So now I'm going to introduce you to some new things, and if you don't get the HTML part, it's fine. But it should be quite straightforward. I'm going to add a text area, which is basically a box for people to type text in. Right. And I'm going to add a button. And I'm going to have the button be labeled add feedback. Okay, so let's save this file. Let's go to Chrome. Refresh the page. And you'll see that at the bottom we have a text area and a button to add feedback, right? So this is good. What I want to do now is that I'm going to put a line break here because it's kind of annoying me that it's not aligned. So anyway, save it. Go to main.js now. And I'm going to tell jQuery $button. When the button is clicked, do something. Right. This should be familiar to you right now. Like the click, the button, ask jQuery to find something, then ask it to do something when it's clicked. Right. And now I'm going to introduce you to something new. And this is when the button is clicked, I want to get the value of I want to get what's inside the text area. Because the user typed something, right? And I want to get it. So say find the text area and give me its value. Right. And we want to do something with this. So let's replace So let's do this. Let's say jQuery, find me boo boo. And replace what's inside boo boo. Replace the HTML inside boo boo with this value. Right. So I'm going to copy this, paste it inside here. So there's several things going on here, which is quite complicated, right? So far what we've been doing was to change things, right? To hide stuff, to slide up, to change the width. But what this is doing here is basically saying, go find boo boo and replace the HTML inside boo boo with something. And this something, I want it to be what the value of the text area is, right? I say this something is go find the text area and return me its value. So there are two things new that are happening here in one page. Right. So let's save this and let's go to Chrome and see if it works. So I refresh the page. And I'm not going to click on the header now because boo boo. Okay, so anyway, so this is boo boo, right? We all know this is boo boo. And this is the text area. So let's do something like this is quite awesome. And I'm going to click on the button, and if all goes well, right, you should know what's going to happen. It's going to look for the text area, find out the value of the text area, take this value and replace it with what boo boo is. Replace it with the contents of boo boo. Replace the contents of boo boo with this value. So you click add feedback, right? See that boo boo gets replaced with this, quite awesome. Everyone got this? Right. We can do it again even. Like you can even do it again. You change the text of text area, you click add feedback, it changes too. You see the code? Sure. Right. This is quite cool, right? Think about an example of this. Right. On a very high level, when you click tweet, maybe, Twitter somehow gets the value that you typed in, right? Goes around the world somehow, and then it pops up on your browser again, right? And actually this is actually like a very complicated example of this. You take the value of the text area and then you put it into the HTML for the user to see. Right? And it's quite nice, right? But Yeah, okay, so this is quite nice. I'm not going to I'm going to elaborate further later if I have time. So anyone stuck here? No, right? So let's go back to the command line. Let's save this file, go back to the command line, and let's commit this. Let's make a backup now. So I do git status. I see that git tells me that I've modified two things. I modified the HTML file with the new elements, the text area and the button. I modified the JavaScript file with the new function to get the value of the text area and put it in boo-boo. So let me git add dot git commit -m ht text area button. So basically commit. And now if I do git log, I can see that my last commit is text area button, right? And if you recall, we are on the branch cool stuff. We have two universes, cool stuff and master, right? And we earlier on said we told Git, bring me to this universe cool stuff. And then now we are making changes in this universe. And master is in a separate universe, right? It doesn't know of the changes we made. And so if I do git checkout master, if I go back to master now, and I hit enter, right? Git says you switch to master. I do git branch to ask it which branch am I on. It says you have two branches, cool stuff and master. You are on master. And now if you go to Chrome and you refresh the page, you should see that the universe remains the same, right? Batman didn't die in this universe. We didn't add the feedback tag in this universe. So you refresh the page and you see that the feedback header is nowhere to be found. It's quite cool, right? And what do you think is happening in the cool stuff universe right now? In the cool stuff branch? Our changes are still there, right? And then in master branch, the changes are not here yet. And we have all these things without having to, copy this whole folder into a new folder on our desktop, change it here, and then have to go back to the other folder to change it there if you want to make two different changes. And now comes the cool part. So I want you to go to the command line. And let's say I'm done. I think the cool stuff part is quite good already. So I'm ready to take those changes and put it into my master universe. Right? I want to basically fuse the two universes into one. Right? And basically merge them into one single universe. So what I can do is I'm a master, right? So I'm going to say git merge cool stuff. Right? Which is saying there's this universe called cool stuff. I'm on master. I'm on the master branch, right? There's this universe cool stuff, and basically merge that into my current universe, right? Take whatever changes there is there, apply it to bring it into my universe, right? Press enter, and then Git basically just does that, right? It merges the two universes, and we can very easily check that by refreshing the page. Right, you refresh the page and you find that the feedback tag is back. Right? Git went to the universe called cool stuff. It took the changes that we made there and then brought it back to master and then applied it here. And now we have the feedback over here. Right.
Why is this?
And so now I've shown you what this thing does. I'm going to try to convince you now why it's useful. Okay, and I actually have slides for this because it's kind of hard to convince you without you actually having without a fairly complex example, right? So I'm going to give you a contrived but complex example right now. Okay, so let's say I have this software, right? I just made this new software and then it's stable already, like version 1, our boilerplate, for instance, right? And then I release it, and I'm very happy people start using it. And now I realize I want to add 2 more features to it. Right? I receive a lot of feedback and I want to add 2 features to it. Maybe I want to make it look nicer and I want to make it real time. Right? And in my head, I'm like, okay, Git does branching. Maybe that'll be a good idea for me. And I don't want to have these 2 features I want to work on them together. But I want to be able to release one feature when it's done and not have to wait for the other one to be finished, to release both together. But anyway, so I create a new branch called feature X. Right? And basically I can add this new feature X onto my code while still having a stable copy in my master branch of the original code that I release, right? In case anything happens. Or in case this feature X is a total disaster, I can just delete it. Forget about it. Right? And at the same time, I want to do feature Y too, which is real time. And I'm not very sure about that too, because real time, I'm not very confident. It might crash everything. I don't want that. In the worst case, I want to delete any trace that I ever tried to do something like that. So I create a new branch too, feature Y. Right? So now I kind of have 3 branches. And so feature X is making it look nicer. It's really simple. I got it. After a few commits, it's ready, and I'm ready to push it out to deploy it. Right? I'm ready to release a version 2 with feature X. But at the same time, I found a bug in my original version, right? And then I go to master branch. I fix the bug quickly because it's kind of a fatal bug. Some users say, "Oh, can you fix this immediately now?" Right? And I fix the bug. I push it live. And now the users are fine, like I fixed the bug on my master branch. So now my 3 branches have 3 different states, right? Slightly complicated. What I can do now is I can just do git merge in feature X, right? And then I get a stable version 2. Right? All this happens independently of whether feature Y is a disaster. Right? If feature Y was a disaster, I can't merge because it might crash. It might still be crashing. It might still be unstable. I can't merge it, right? And then now I work on feature Y, real time takes some time, and finally it's ready. And then now I can just do git merge with my master, and I get my stable version 3. And this is really cheap to do. Like I can just do git branch something, and then I get a new universe to play with. Right? If in the worst case scenario I just delete it, I just ignore it, go back to master, pretend it never happened. Right? The best case scenario I can merge it into master. Everything is fine for me. Right? I hope this is convincing enough. This it's hard to explain the benefits of this without a fairly complex example, and this is fairly complex, I think. Okay, so actually I'll be pretty happy if I stop here. Yeah, I actually intended to stop here with. And what I want to do now is I want to recap what we did today. Okay, because I think I just covered quite a bit. We even did branching, which is quite a complex Git thing to do.
Why there's a conflict?
Okay, I'll cover that soon. Yeah. Okay, so the question is what if there's a conflict? I'll keep that in mind. I actually want to cover it later on, like towards the end, because that's not a trivial thing. So I want to briefly cover what we covered today, and then I'll address the question. So what we covered today for jQuery, right, is if you look at our code, we learn how to get an element, right? We learn how to select an element. We learn how to tell jQuery, go look for this element on the page and get it for me, right? Or even before that, we learn how to load jQuery into the page. And then we learn how to get jQuery to find an element. We learn how to get jQuery to change the element, right? To set the width of something to a different size. Then we learn how to get jQuery to listen to events. And finally, we even learn how to change the HTML even, not just the CSS. The HTML of the element, right? By changing the contents of this element to be replaced by the value of whatever user input. Right? And actually this is like almost all the building blocks you need for a fairly interactive website. Right? You go to Facebook, you click on something, you click on your account, it drops down something. Right? That's basically just get jQuery to listen to the click event there. When the user clicks this, show the thing. If it's not being shown, show it. If it's shown, hide it. Yeah, simple things like that. It is the basic building blocks for all interactive websites. For Git, we did it's slightly more complicated. For Git, we did init, which is to tell Git to watch this folder is important. We then did Git status, which is to ask Git what's happening. And then we had the basic workflow, which is to change files, to add files, to commit files. I cannot stress this enough. This is basically, the more you do this, it gets better, right? You change the files, you add them, then you commit them. Next, we did Git push and pull, which is basically a peek at how you would collaborate with people, right? You have, you put your code on GitHub, you push some code there, right? Your friend can pull code down, he can edit it, he can push code up, you can pull it down, and everything just works for you very nicely without you having to like email stuff or use it, do it on Dropbox even. Yeah, that would be a pain, right? Finally, we did Git branch, right? We checked which universe we were on, which branch we were on. We created a new branch. We changed to a different universe, and then finally we merged the universes together. So, where to go from here? So I'll take the question now, which is, what happens, imagine if in universe A, right, universe master, I changed this thing, right? I decided that main.js should have a, no sorry, I decided that index.html at the top, that this image is not nice enough, so I decided to change this image to something else, right? I should change it to something else. And then in the cool stuff universe, I decided to change it to something else, right? I decided to change it to something else, maybe. And then when you tell Git merge these two universes together, what's going to happen? It's not trivial, right? Git is going to explode. No, it won't explode, but it will complain to you. Because it can't unambiguously decide which one is which, right? Should I go for cats.png or should I go for lolcats.png? It doesn't know, right? If in the two universes this exact same line is the same, it cannot make the decision for you, right? For all you know, this line was made thinking about A, and then this line was made thinking about B, and then when they put together, if you choose either one, something will break, right? And this is when you need human intervention, correct? Like if these two lines were different in the two universes and you merge them together, right? Git will say, hey, there's a conflict here, and I need you to settle this conflict before I can proceed. And then you will basically have to go into the file and it will tell you that these are your two options, choose one, and then after that it's basically you continue moving forward. Yeah, I don't want to show it to you right now because I don't think that you the idea of branching, checking out, and then merging has completely settled into your heads yet. But just bear this in mind, right? If you have two universes and you change the same line in both, Git doesn't know which should be the one that it chooses when it merges, right? Just now all we did was we had one, we changed some lines here, we didn't change any here, we merged them in. Git knows, right? Git says, oh cool, I just copy and paste the additional lines. Nothing special to do. No special cases to take into account, right? So conflicts is something to bear in mind, and as you do more of it, you encounter that, and it will be a simple fix when it happens, right? You can just Google it, and it's very simple. Okay, so I'm going to conclude because time is running out. Where to go from here? Number one, use Git. Use it everywhere, right? Every time you start a project, Git in it. And then keep using it because practice makes perfect. And I'm not kidding about this because when I first started, right, it is very rusty to me. To do Git add and then Git commit, everything doesn't come naturally. But after a while, it just becomes second nature. And the more you use it, right, the more cool things you get out of it. You learn special commands, you learn special shortcut keys, and yeah, you learn all sorts of things. And Git is so powerful. So Git is so powerful, right? Today we only covered maybe 10% of it, right? There's so many cool things. Once you have a log of all your history, you can trace down when the bug was introduced in a certain code, and then have it. Yeah, there's so many things.
You can blame the person who wrote the bug.
There is Git blame. There is Git cherry pick. There's a lot of things, and today is just the tip of the iceberg, and we already could do so many cool things, right? So use Git. The first thing is to use Git. Practice makes perfect. The next thing is jQuery docs. Today I introduced to you a few of the manipulations, right? Dot width, dot fade out, dot slide up, and this is just a few of them. There's this link on school.nushackers.org, and it links to the jQuery docs. And in jQuery docs, right, there is a ton of these, right? There is .css if you want to change the CSS. There's a lot of it, and go check that out. They basically all look the same. They work the same, which means you find the element, you do dot, and you call the function. They all work the same, and basically you already know how to do it. Now you just need to know what to call. So, in conclusion, the materials we uploaded soonish. I'm currently recording, which is why my computer was so slow. The videos will be up. All the links that I covered today, the final product will be up. The repo on ducking hipster will be somewhere. It will be linked from on the page. Yep. And so check that out if you have any questions. In addition, in addition, I'm not sure if you know, we are NUS hackers, and so this is kind of like some advertisements or yeah. Anyway, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, right? Every Friday we have Friday hacks. Some of you already come down for it. So anyway, we have Friday hacks. We get speakers down. We have pizza. They talk about stuff like this. More interesting stuff maybe. Yeah, and they talk about more interesting stuff. And if you like this kind of things, do come down every Friday and listen and hang out with people. We'll be there. And then yeah, after that, we just mingle around and see what people are doing. The next thing is that we have, if you're interested in stuff like this and you come down on Friday, we have this thing called anti-news. And basically what this is a community where we share articles that are cool, that are interesting like these things. And then you read articles, and that's the way you improve, right? You read about Git. Today you learned that Git existed. And before this, yeah, your life was before Git, and you didn't know, right? You didn't know Git existed. You didn't have this awesome thing. And today, yeah, you can't say that anymore. And on anti-news, there's a ton of these articles that will make you wonder, like, what did I do before this? Right? How did I live without this? Anyway, so do check that out. And if you want to invite, yeah, just ping us and we'll add you in. Talk to us after this. And the last thing is, yeah, thank you for coming.
One last thing. Do you tell them about why GitHub is important? As in, like, let's use an interview.
Okay. So anyway, thank you. And before that, right, on school.nushackers.org, there is this feedback page. There's this contact us thing. And what would really be good, right, is that if you guys could drop us feedback, because we are starting, right, and we need to improve. We want to improve in order for this to become better, to become bigger. And we value your feedback, so please do drop us a note and tell us what we did wrong and what we did well. Yeah.
Right, one last thing. So all of you have probably created a GitHub account. This is not irrelevant to your life if you are a computing student. So GitHub, right, is starting to become the LinkedIn for programmers. When somebody wants to hire you, they don't just look at your resume. In fact, the resume is probably less meaningful than your GitHub profile. They go to your GitHub profile, they look at the projects that you've created, the code that you've written, and then they go and read your code. And if you're an employer, this makes total sense to you because you don't want to look at a person's CGPA because that doesn't make sense. You want to see what kind of code he's written, what kind of languages he's experimented with, what kind of libraries what kind of technologies he's played around with, and that gives a better picture of how good a programmer the person is. So it's not true in Singapore as much. I mean, I just got an email from a recruiter who's looking around in Singapore on GitHub. So that maybe it's starting to change, but in the Valley, this is very normal. When they ask you to interview for a position at a company, they often ask you for your GitHub account because they want to see the code that you've written. So you've just created a GitHub account. When you create projects for fun on the side to show off or for experimentation, push to GitHub and show off. This matters to your career, and this is actually also awesome because other people can use your code for their projects, and they can contribute to your projects. They can fork your projects and modify it, and so on and so forth. So I think that's about it. This is Michael's. Michael's has quite a number of projects. We all do actually. Everybody in NUS Hackers has a GitHub profile. So think of it as Facebook for programmers, and I hope to see you around. Thank you.